Good evening, good morning for everyone who's watching this from different parts of the world. Welcome to the session of Succeed with Purpose. We all have aspirations to succeed in different areas of our life. So firstly, success means different things to different people, right? But most of us don't succeed with purpose. We feel like we're stretching ourselves too much. We're struggling too much. When you're doing something that's with purpose, it doesn't feel difficult. It just flows. Things just happen for you, right? So today we'll talk about how to exactly do this. So how do you first identify your purpose? Now, before we get into, talking about succeeding with purpose, I'd like to just showcase a short video by my mentor, Bob Proctor, that will really help you understand, in what direction you should be looking in your life. It's a very great start for us in this session.
Steve Jobs put it very well. What did Jobs say? He said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust the dots will somehow connect in the future. That means you're always going to be walking into the dark. You're going to be walking into a place you've never been. Now you can take that as a scary thing that you're foolish doing because you're always going to be a little scared. Or you can see this as a magnificent opportunity every day. Every day is a new venture. This is where I am. I know how I got here. This is where I want to go. The moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. You fuse with the idea. That's what happens. The moment your belief matches with any state, you fuse with it. This union results in the activation and projection of its plots, plans, conditions, and circumstances. Just whoop, like that, everything changes. That state of conscious awareness becomes your home for which you view the world. If you're observant, you're going to see outer reality shaping itself upon the model of your imagination. Now, this is all our imagination at work. All kinds of strange things happen when you buy into it. But you've got to buy into it. Now, you see, when you do, this is the way it works. You can't see what has to happen. You've got to trust. You've got to act like the person you've got to become. Now, you've also got to know that some of the people close to you are saying, who are you trying to act as? What are you doing? You're kidding yourself? Come on. What are you, phony? People are laughing at you. Why are you doing that? You've got to be strong enough to say, too bad. You don't really know who I am. I'm learning who I am. You didn't watch me again. But not many people can do that. This is not easy. Why do you think there's only 3 people out of 100 that do it? When you do, the way just suddenly happens. Before you know, what the hell, you're there. You think, wow. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. And then you make a jump and you say, I'm going to go there. Well, you gotta understand, there's a place too. You go there. There's a place too. These are all real places. That's real. We're visiting it for the first time. Maybe that everybody ever went there. You may have never done it before. You may have been here flat broke, no understanding of this. You can do it. You can do it every bit as well as I can. No, you and I can do this. They just suddenly happens.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. That's a video that really reminds me of the time when, I wanted to begin my current practice and I was trying to connect the dots forward by asking myself, will it work? Will I really be able to do this? What will people say? Because we're always worried about what people will say about us, isn't it? I used to be a marketing executive in the corporate world for over about 15 years. And I knew that, that's not what I wanted to do. I finally found my purpose. My purpose is to help people like you live a better life. And, when I had that realization, I knew that I wanted to do this. I wanted to jump out of whatever I was doing previously. Not that there was anything wrong with the corporate world, absolutely not. But that's not what resonated with my core values. It's not something that I wanted to do, all right? So, when I made that decision, I did have those thoughts in my mind, that what are people going to say? Are things really going to work out for me? So for those of you who've been wanting to follow your purpose, really ask yourself, how many times have you tried to connect the dots forward? So remember what Bob says in the video. He said that Steve Jobs said that you can't connect the dots forward. You can only connect them backwards. You can only connect them to events and circumstances that have already happened, right? So you can't connect them forward. So whatever it is that you'd like to do in your life, don't try to think too much, don't try to anticipate and predict everything. This is where most of the people are going wrong, because you'll never be able to do whatever it is that you want if you're always trying to understand what's in store for you in the future. Remember what he says in the video. You have to have faith. You just have to trust and start moving forward. And when you make use of your mental faculties like imagination, things really start playing out for you. And I'll talk about how that happened for me, all right? So let's talk about how to identify your purpose. Your purpose is something that makes you happy. So ask yourself, what makes you happy? What is an activity that you do that makes you feel at peace? It's something that you can do for hours without getting fatigued, and it just leaves you so fulfilled. It's something that happens so effortlessly. It's something that you do, and time just flows. You don't even realize where your time went when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing on purpose. What is this thing that makes you feel like I can go on for hours and hours without getting tired, and I'll just keep doing it, right? And I'm having so much fun. It leaves you fulfilled. You have so much fun doing it, right? So those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. Now, to identify your purpose, the core question that you need to ask yourself is, what do you really want? What do you really, really want? Now, my mentor Bob always asks that. What it is that you really want? Now, most of you don't even know what you want, because you are doing things based on what other people are telling you in your life. So you never really had the time and the opportunity to sit and think about what it is that you really want. How will you identify your purpose if you don't know what it is that you want, right? Your purpose comes from your wants. Your wants are the things that resonate with your spirit. Remember, your wants and your desires come from your spirit. Your spirit speaks to you through your desire. Your spirit is meant for expansion and fuller expression. But what determines what we want currently? There's internal noise and there's external noise. Internally, there's a voice telling you, it's asking you, but, if Jane, if you do this, what are other people going to think about you? What will other people around you say if you go for what it is that you want, and we get lost in that umbrella of worrying what other people will think and say about us. And you're always worried about your circumstances. That's the second internal voice. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I can't commit to this right now. Now, let me tell you something. You are never taught how to make any decisions. Your decisions are not supposed to be made based on your current circumstances. You're supposed to overcome your current circumstances and make your decisions based on what it is that you want. So I'll just give you an example. One of my clients who joined me recently on one of my programs called Thinking into Results, she made a decision that she wants to express her gratitude, to some of the people who supported her in her past journey with some monetary value. Now, she didn't have the money that she wanted to spend. And guess what? Just within 10 days of working with me, she was able to manifest that money. Somebody just stood up, just yesterday she shared that win with me, and she told me that one of my business partners decided to pay me in advance. So how did that happen? There was no coincidence. There is no magic there. Even you can do that. She decided to ignore her current circumstances, and she just made a decision that she wants to practice this gratitude with this kind of monetary value and extend it to people. She just made a decision, and the universe moved around the pieces, and it awoke something in her business partner to pay her in advance. So somehow the money came to her. So can you see how magical this is? When you just have trust and you have faith, and you don't start connecting the dots forwards. You just have to believe, you have to buy into the idea. Remember what Bob said in the video. Another noise that you experience is external. You're worried about what others will tell you and what they'll think of you. We constantly have a habit of listening to what people are telling us. They tell us, hey, Monazir, this is what's suitable for you. This is what you should do, right? So you're so used to listening to that. You don't even ever think what it is that you really want. What do you really want to do? And of course, you're worried about being judged. I'll give you an example. When I left my corporate work and I started my current practice, I knew that the people who already know me, they had set a certain image of me in their mind. So I knew that they would judge me and they would ask questions and then wonder. They'd be like, what is this that you're doing? Is this really sustainable? Is this something that will earn you income? So you know what I did? I didn't even, I decided to quit my job just a few months into starting my current practice. And what I did is I didn't even inform anybody, not even my immediate family, because I knew that the statements of questions, the statements of judgments would pour in immediately. And I absolutely wanted to ignore and avoid that because I wanted to keep moving forward in my journey because I knew that I'd be successful. I had 100% faith in whatever it is that I was doing. Because guess what? This is something that I'm doing on purpose. This is my purpose. It resonates with my core values. Now, when I was working in the corporate world, it's not something that resonated with my values, all right? As I said, not that there was something wrong with the corporate world, absolutely not. But it's not something I was feeling happy doing. It's not something I felt like I can do for hours and hours without getting fatigued. In fact, I was getting tired, I was getting fatigued. And the money that I earned in the corporate world, interestingly, never really stayed with me because it was not something that I was aligned with. So your purpose is something that you're completely aligned with. You'll just see the money expanding in your life. And money is always an after effect. That is what I'd like you to know. You don't work for money, you work for satisfaction. When you are satisfied, when you're fulfilled, when you're aligned with whatever it is that you're doing, that is when you know that you are working on purpose. That is your purpose. You're following your purpose, all right? Now, my core values when I started my current practice was helping people live a better life, seeing people happy, hence a better world, right? Now, when you know what your core values are, when you sit down and really think, what do you resonate with? What makes you happy? What it is that you like doing? That's when you know that that is your purpose, all right? You know that you're in the right direction. And it's pretty easy to identify. It's not very hard because with time, as you carry out different activities, you'll see a difference. As I say, when you're not fatigued, when you're flowing with whatever it is that you're doing, then you know that that is your purpose. You really, really enjoy doing it. And it adds a lot of value to the people around you. And the money just flows in. You never have to chase it. Your purpose is not something you work for to tire yourself out or to chase anything or anybody in that regard. It's something that just happens naturally, all right? So what I decided to do is I decided not to care what others were saying. I just followed my calling. So when you resonate with your core values, success just automatically comes to you because you're aligned and you're in the right vibration, all right? So for those of you who want to know more about the law of vibration, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'll be sharing my contacts at the end of this session, all right? So I'd like to just talk about the 3 types of wants, the 3 types of goals that people usually set. Now, remember I say your purpose is tied to what it is that you really want. Really ask yourself, what it is that you really want as an individual. So there are three types of goals that people usually set. Now, the most common one that people set is a type of goal that people already know how to achieve. So for instance, if you are somebody who's working in a certain profession and you want a 20% increase in your salary, you know how to get it, right? You'll work hard, you'll speak to your boss, you'll prove yourself, you'll improve your performance, and you know that you can achieve that 20% performance. And then there's the B type of a goal. The B type of a goal is something that you want to achieve, you're excited about, but it doesn't inspire you. It's not something that leads you to growing in any way, but it's something you'll find a way to do. All right. So for instance, if you are a business owner and you want to grow your business, let's say by 50 to 70%, you know that if you employ the right people, come up with the right strategies, expand your teams, hit the right regions, maybe in certain cases, then you'll be able to reach that B type of a goal. Now, the kind of a goal that you should really be setting is something called a C type of goal. The C type of a goal is a goal that you have no idea how you'll achieve. It's something that you've always wanted in your life, but you've been brushing it under the carpet because you've been worried. People have been telling you, if you do this, how are things really going to work out? Are things really going to happen for you? Forget about this. You've been an accountant for so many years. You just suit as an accountant. Just stick to that profession. And you don't have the time, you don't have the money, and you're wondering how it will happen. But it's something you really, really, really fantasized about, but just brushed under the carpet. And it excites you, inspires you, and scares you at the same time. It's something that's your calling, something that you've been desiring, something your spirit speaks to very closely. So this is the kind of a goal that you should be setting. Now, when you go for whatever it is that really, really inspires you, excites you, and scares you at the same time, then you will have identified your purpose. I can guarantee you that. All right. But guess what? You have to go through the discomfort. You have to make the time and financial investment. Now, this is what most people are not willing to do. Most people want change in their life, but they're not willing to make the time and financial investment. So, what percentage of people do you belong to? That's what you need to ask yourself. If you keep doing what you have been doing for years, do you think you'll get different results? Do you think you'll ever identify your purpose and start succeeding? That's what you need to ask yourself. So let's talk about the root cause of success and failure, because we are talking about succeeding on purpose, succeeding with purpose. Now, I've already talked about how to identify your purpose, right? Now, what is it that determines, once you have your purpose, what it is that's going to determine whether you're going to succeed or fail in your purpose, all right? So what is the root cause of this success and failure? That is the question. Now, all of you have the two parts that your mind is divided into. Now, whatever it is that you do in your life, one thing I'd like you to understand is this. Your mind has a 95% contribution to all the outcomes that you get in your life. Your mind is divided into your intellectual mind and your emotional mind. So your mind has two parts, the intellectual part and the emotional part, all right? Then there's something that sits in your emotional mind that has been controlling 96% of all the outcomes that you have been getting in your life. And this is since childhood. So this one thing that I'm talking about is known as your paradigm. Your paradigm is the root cause of your success and failure. But what I'd like you to know that this is not something that you may have been aware about. So it's not your fault that something has been unconsciously controlling everything in your life without your knowledge. We are all built in the same way. The only differentiating factor that we all have is the paradigm. It's your paradigm that will determine how far you go. Now, think about all these people that have been doing so well around you, right? You might have been wanting to do as well as them. But why is it that you're not able to reach the level that they have reached so far? It's because there's a difference in your paradigms. Now, all of us are spirits with unending abilities and talents. It's nothing to do with your abilities and talents. We all have the same abilities, no matter where we are placed in this world. But until we don't nail how to change the paradigm, until we don't understand how our paradigms work, and how we can change them, we'll never be able to achieve the level of success that we want. And your paradigm also controls whether you'll be able to identify your purpose and whether you'll be able to follow it. So it controls everything in your life. You know, we all keep going to school, we all keep educating ourselves. We keep updating ourselves with different sorts of information, right? We all think of ourselves as intellectuals. But what I'd like you to know today is that your intellectual mind only has a 4% contribution to all the outcomes that you get. So no matter how much you educate yourself, no matter how much you update yourself, train yourself, until you don't tap into your emotional mind that holds your paradigm, you'll never be able to rise to the level of results that you desire in your life. And some of you may have risen to a certain level and gotten stuck. You know, think about the times when you feel like you've not been able to go past a certain level. It's because your paradigm is set at that level. Think of an autopilot system. What does an autopilot system do? You know, an autopilot system just sets a plane to fly from point A to point B. So for instance, if it's set to fly from London to Nairobi, it will make sure that the plane is set on that specific route. The minute the plane goes off route, the autopilot system brings it back on the same course. And that's exactly how your paradigm works. Your paradigm is an autopilot system in your emotional mind that wants you to stay at the level that you are at the moment. So some of you may have realized that when you try to make changes, when you try to do something different, a lot of voices kick in. You know, you find all the excuses as to why you cannot do something, why you cannot invest in yourself, why you cannot overcome that fear, why you can't do anything different in your life. All right. But it's not your fault, because that's your paradigm talking to you. It loves the space that you are in currently. It loves that comfort zone. It wants to keep you there. So your paradigm controls your decision-making abilities. It controls your logic. Now, most of us want to make decisions based on logic. You know, I was talking to somebody earlier this week and they told me that, you know, you have to be very logical when you make decisions. Well, I talked about this earlier, that is not how you make decisions. If you start making decisions based on your current circumstances, you will never get past the level that you are in your life. You have to make decisions based on your goals. And that is where the gap is. So your goal is here and your mind is thinking down here. Until you don't align your mind to the goal that you want to achieve, you'll never be able to reach it. And hence, you'll always be down here and you'll be wishing and longing for this goal forever. Think about the things that you wanted for so long. What it is that you wanted for a really, really long time. And it's just not happening, you know. And there's certain things that you got, but it took really long. Why? Because you didn't make the right decisions. You used your logic to make your decisions. You're using your current circumstances to make your future decisions. And when you do that, when you make future decisions based on current circumstances, you'll always stay in the state of your current circumstances. That is exactly how it works. And again, that's not your fault, because that is how your paradigm has been set. Your paradigm also controls the amount of money that you can earn, how you handle money, your relationship with money, your income earning ability, how you run your business, your health, your relationships, absolutely everything in your life. And this is the same place where success and failure comes from. You know, you've been doing the same things year in, year out, but you're expecting different results. Until you do not shift that paradigm, your results will never change. So think, for how many years have you been in the same place? You know, you've been striving to do something much more, but your paradigm has been holding you in place. That autopilot system wants you to stay on the same course for years and years. You know, we all set goals when a new year comes. A very typical example that I like sharing with everybody is weight loss. You know, come January, everybody hits the gym. Everybody wants to run to the gym and say that, hey, this year, I'm definitely going to make it. I'm going to lose those 10 kilos that I promised myself for the last 5 years. You know, come February, the gyms are empty again. Only those who've been consistent for a very long time will keep appearing, right? And a lot of us drop out of the gym. Again, that's a paradigm, you know. Until you don't work on it consistently and learn how to shift that paradigm, it keeps bringing you back to the same results and the same behaviors that you've been portraying over the years. If your behavior does not change, if your mindset does not shift, Don't expect different results, all right? So how your paradigm is shaped determines the outcomes that you get. So the way you've been living your life for many years, that's your paradigm. Your paradigm came from the time you were a child. It came from the time when you accepted ideas from your environment unconsciously. Think about the times, when you are a child. What kind of ideas do you think you absorb? If you are somebody who was brought up in a wealthy family, you have all the ideas around wealth in your mind. But if you're somebody who was brought up in a struggling family like myself, I was brought up in a very financially struggling family, and I had ideas like money is hard to earn. I have to work very long hours to earn money. I have to be in a very, very stable job in order to keep earning money. And eventually, that didn't resonate with my spirit. And I discovered my purpose, as I earlier mentioned. I am in the business of helping you live a better life. And that's what makes me happy. So I was never taught that you can follow your purpose. I was always taught to have a stable job because, it guarantees you income, it guarantees you money. So that was the paradigm I had around money, that you have to struggle, you have to work really long hours, you have to be very consistent, you have to keep doing your best in order to impress your bosses, and that's something that didn't personally resonate with me. All right. So the time to work on your paradigm is now. If you don't make a move, your paradigm will keep driving you unconsciously. And you'll wonder why your results don't change. So today I'd like you to make a promise to yourself. Promise that you will start working on that paradigm. You drive it so that you can get the results you want. Don't let it drive you. Because most of you are living your life unconsciously. Your paradigm is driving your life and you have no idea what to do about it. As I say, think of the times, where you hit a ceiling regarding certain things in your life and you feel like you can't just take that next step. What is it that's really hindering you? What's really that's blocking you? That's your paradigm. So because we've been talking about the paradigm, I want you to know that your self-concept, your self-image is one of the biggest parts of your paradigm. And this is what determines whether you're going to succeed or not in life. Your success levels are directly determined by your self-image, which is one of the biggest parts of your paradigm. So one thing I'd like you to know today is this, that you can never outperform your self-image, your self-concept. You can only change it, and this is the reality. So your goal is here, right? You want to be an executive, a CEO, a business owner, but your self-image is down here. You don't see yourself, you don't feel good about yourself being a CEO or an executive up here. You are still down here. That means the reality in your life will always remain the way you feel. You'll never become that person that you want to become. You may want to become the best partner for your spouse in your life, for instance. So this applies to anything, right? But until you don't shift that self-concept, how do you shift that self-concept? By working on your paradigm, because it's one of the biggest parts of your paradigm. Your self-concept was formed by what you heard from other people around you. What do people tell you about yourself? And what do you tell you about yourself? Do people tell you that you're smart, you're confident, you're so good at XYZ, right? And that's exactly what forms your self-image. Now, earlier I gave an example where I said that, if an accountant wants to become a baker, and everybody around that person, the accountant is just telling them that, hey, but you're so great as an accountant, you should not even think about going into baking. Why would a profession like that even cross your mind? You're so great at what you do in terms of being an accountant. Now this is what other people are telling this person, that he is very good as an accountant, and that's exactly what forms that person's self-concept. So even if they're thinking of taking that step, because the self-concept is so stuck with the idea of them being a great accountant, that there's going to be a lot of inner work required for them to get into that stage of becoming a baker. So self-image and self-concept are things that are highly determined by what other people have been telling us around us. So think about it today, What are some of the things that you've been hearing people around you say that you internally feel could be different, right? Because are you really on the path of your purpose? Are you really doing something that makes you happy, that just makes you flow, that makes you feel like I don't have to work an hour in my life, a minute in my life, all right? Because that is what your purpose is about. So in life at times, you may have undergone difficult situations, or you may have failed when trying to do something. So, this brings you down and you start criticizing yourself, or you start doubting yourself, right? And a common feeling is not feeling good enough. Now, this is very detrimental because this has a direct impact on all your future results. Now, when you start having such thoughts about yourself, whatever it is that you feel about yourself, you might be somebody who goes out there and is very confident. But how do you really feel about yourself internally? That is what your self-concept is. That is what your self-image is. And that puts you on your direct path to either success or failure. So how you feel about yourself in your real essence is what forms your self-concept and self-image. So I'll give you 2 examples, When I was in the corporate world, everybody told me that, Shalini, you're such a smart woman. You'll go so far in your life, you'll do so well. But guess what? That's not how I felt about myself. Because as a young child, as I was growing up, even all through my university, my high school, my early years of work especially, I lacked confidence. I never really believed in myself. I always was that person who sat on the sidelines and I watched my friends take part in debates. I watched them make other friends. I could never make a lot of friends because I lacked that confidence. I never felt that I was good enough. So these are some of the things, externally. Somebody may think that, hey, you're such a confident woman, you're doing so well for yourself. But ask yourself, how do you really feel about yourself on a day-to-day basis? When you embark on your new project, when you approach people, when you do something you've never done before, how do you really feel about yourself? Do you believe in yourself? Do you feel you're good enough? Do you feel you're going to succeed, or do you feel you're going to fail? And these are some of the things that form your self-image. Now, my self-image completely shifted when I got mentored by Bob Proctor. And this was in 2021 and 2022. That's when my journey began. And what he taught me is that you are engineered for success by your creator. And I absolutely love that line. He said that you are created in the image of God. You can do anything that anyone else is doing. It's just how we've all been conditioned to think different things about ourselves. And I'll tell myself that every day. You are engineered for success by your creator. And over time, everything started changing for me. When your self-image, your self-concept changes, everything around you automatically starts changing. Your relationships, the way you run your business, your income, your levels of happiness, how people respect you, everything starts changing, all right? So if you're somebody who doesn't feel good enough, this is very detrimental because it has a direct impact on your future results. So how many times have you caught yourself in a trail of negative thoughts? Think about it. And then what happens? It has a ripple effect and you only see things getting externally, they only get worse. Well, this is not surprising because failure thoughts lead to a failure self-concept and successful thoughts lead to successful self-concept, right? So the question is, how do we convert an unsupportive self-concept from expanding further? If you are somebody who recognizes that your self-concept does not support your goals, it's not leading you to your purpose, to wherever it is that you want to. How do we convert this? Now, remember, this habit was formed when you are a child. It's a huge part of your paradigm. All of these ideas, rather, not some, all of these ideas were accepted by your paradigm. They were accepted by your emotional mind that created this paradigm in you, that make you think and feel about yourself in a certain way. right? So it's a huge part of your paradigm. So it's not a one-day job, right? And this is where I have my processes that can help you. Because what's happening, remember I spoke about your goal is here, but your self-concept, your paradigm is keeping you here. So there's a clear misalignment. So there's a very big layer of resistance, right? Because you're trying to get here, but your self-concept is pushing you down, it's stopping you. So there's a big gap. So there's a misalignment, right? And that's why you get distorted results in your life. So I'm just going to talk about, the process that can help you realign your self-concept and help you become the person that you want to become. Monazir, I've just seen your messages. Sorry, I'll just address that in a bit. So the process that I have can help you identify your purpose. Remember, I talked about the misalignment. So this is a process that can help you realign yourself. All you need to do is to get the results that you want, is to align yourself with your goal. So this process can help you identify your purpose. It can help you overcome your paradigm. So if you are somebody who's wanting to identify your purpose and overcome your paradigm, if you want to change your self-concept to match the level of success that you desire, remember your level of success is here and your self-concept is here. So if you want to match it up, right? And if you want to overcome your struggles and enjoy living life to the fullest, and if you really want to take charge of your life, then I have a 12-step process that happens over 24 weeks, where I deep dive into your mental programs that are causing the misalignment. Now, remember I spoke about the paradigm, right? So your paradigm is a set of mental programs that are keeping you at the level that you are in your life. So there has to be a deep dive into these mental programs if you want to be realigned with your purpose, with your goals, with whatever it is that you are trying to achieve. So you are here right now. So when you start working on your mental programs, your paradigm, you ultimately start aligning with whatever it is that you want, and it comes effortless into your life. And I'm going to share my example. It's something that I was able to get with this exact process, all right? I'm going to talk about the experience that I had in my life. And this is something that only requires a one-time investment. And it's such a beautiful process that can be reapplied to achieve multiple goals, right? Now, a lot of us have different goals in life. You're not just going to achieve one goal and say that, hey, I'm done. No, remember what I said in the beginning. Your spirit is meant for expansion and fuller expression. So you're meant to do more, be more, and have more in your life. So you're going to keep growing. And remember, goals are not to achieve. They're meant for you to grow. So you have to keep growing. So this is the way the process has been designed, that you can keep using it just with a one-time investment. You can keep using it to achieve multiple goals in your life, all right? And this program has specialized concepts that have been researched by my mentor, Bob Proctor, and his partner, Sandy Gallagher. And these have had proven results because these have been researched and used for over 50 years. So Bob Proctor used this in his life in order to come out of a debt that he had in the 1960s. So he used to have a debt of $6,000. Now in the 1960s, $6,000 was a lot of money, right? Now he was very frustrated and he didn't have any business experience, no education background. And he came from a very poor background. So he didn't have any financial backing in his life. So he was extremely frustrated. And he was introduced to this process, the concepts in this process. And over years, he was able to start earning millions of dollars. So what he did further research into the concepts that helped him with his partner, Sandy Gallagher, and they put up this process together that I now teach you, called Thinking into Results, that will help you propel to the next level. And this process also involves one-on-one coaching calls with me, because remember, nothing happens without taking action. As much as you are realigning your mind to the goals that you want to achieve, until you don't take action, you don't really see any results, right? So I help you get into the next action steps. And of course, there's accountability. You know what my mentor always said? He always said that accountability is a success insurance policy. And I love that because, I see that happening with people currently. If there is no accountability, there's no way I'm going to move forward. When you know that you're answerable to somebody, you're supposed to be accountable to somebody, you take that action faster. And that what lead you to your success levels faster. Now, this is where it gets interesting because as part of this process, now I underwent this process that helped me manifest my current practice, becoming a consultant under Bob Proctor's institution. And it cost $30,000, but I didn't have the money to become a Proctor Gallagher consultant. And when I underwent the process of thinking into results, it helped me get this whole practice on a scholarship basis. So I didn't have to pay anything, right? So I made a one-time investment in this process called thinking into results, the same one that I'm talking to you about. And I was able to manifest it all for free. So remember what I said in the beginning when I talked about decision making. I didn't make a decision based on my current circumstances, because if I did that, I would have told myself, oh, but I don't have the $30,000. That means I cannot become a Bob Proctor consultant. I cannot become a Proctor Gallagher consultant. But what did I do? I made a decision based on my goal. So I told myself that I already am a Proctor Gallagher consultant. I invested in thinking into results. And then I came up with a beautiful morning routine that helped me propel even faster towards my goal. So as part of this process, in addition to this entire process, you get access to my winning morning routine that helped me manifest the $30,000 faster than I thought. So it came to me in a very magical way. The whole thing was just awarded to me, right? So if you're somebody who is serious about growth, who values yourself, who believes that you're worth investing in, and all of you are worth investing in yourselves, why not? You are meant for more, to be more, do more, and have more. Get in touch with me. That is my website. That is my direct WhatsApp number. I am on Facebook and YouTube as well. I have a page on Facebook. I have a channel on YouTube. Both of them are called Thinking into Results with Shalini Gadia. I'm always sharing a lot of free content, and that's my Instagram handle, Shalini_GD. Get in touch with me. Let's have a chat. I would be humbled to help you identify your purpose. And remember, all you need to do is make a decision. It's that simple. Remember, I made a decision. I invested in thinking into results, and I was able to manifest something that was way beyond my dreams. I never thought that this would become a reality for me. So if I could do it, so can you. And that is my message for you today. All right. So get in touch with me, and I look forward to hearing from you. And I will now be taking questions for those who are on the Zoom call here.